Yep, we're here to work on this thing today. You're welcome back to the channel. Well, as you can see, I got it marked right there. A little bit of a crease right there we got to work on. I think that's, let's see. I think I marked something right here. Oh yeah, right there, a chip right there. Gotta work on that. So that ain't too bad on this quarter. This quarter's pretty good. Gotta knock out, scuff that out, knock that down so the paint. I'll come over here to this side, and we have a pretty good size spot right here. We gotta work on a spot there, a spot right down in there. And I think that's all for this quarter. There's a spot down right there too. The main thing is the back of this car was sagging, so it stretched this. So I'm gonna take a hammer and a dolly, and I'm gonna get up in here, and I'm gonna dolly some of this out, get that body line back, and I'm gonna sand this body line and get this body line crisp on both sides of the quarter where there's a nice line like that right there, all the way down, because it kind of fades away. See it? See how it shadows, and then it just kind of disappears. We're gonna bring that back. That's our goal. Working on getting this quarter panel out. Look what we found right here. A high spot and a low spot. This is why I don't do cars professionally, because if I was to go through and miss this spot right here for a customer, they'd be mad because it'd have a wave right here in the quarter panel. So even a spot like on this car right here, everything looks perfect. See the waviness there? We gotta get this quarter panel line back, pulled back out like I want it. It's gonna have a nice taper, so we're gonna get this out. We got to dolly that down a little bit, do a little skim coat, we'll get it. So this is how you get your body line back. You just keep flat sanding. See, we dip below right through this area, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take this line off right through here, around where I want it to be. Then I'm gonna skim it, and that way I'll have a line here down. I'll block it out. Once I get that blocked out, then I'll come through and I'll taper it from bottom up. Right now we're sanding at this angle, from this way to that way, down, just chopping and cutting back across to get the line. Once we get that, we'll go through and we'll get this skimmed out a little bit, because I pretty much got it hammered out. You can see where I'm hammered in a few spots, knocking the high spots down. I got it pretty good right here, so now we just gotta skim it a little bit. Sounds like I'm gonna get some more oil from my heater over there. She's out, more fuel for it. I'm gonna go and get this thing skimmed or whatnot. I'm gonna take that out with primer. There's two little spots right there. I'll just primer that up and block that back in, because all this has been hit with a rough grit. So we're gonna have to go through and primer it anyways to build it up. So I'm not even gonna worry about this little spot here. I'll be able to block that out with primer. This right here is gonna need some work. It's gonna need some filler in it. So this is my body line right there that we're trying to contour toward. Where it comes in, the car has that little real sexy body line. It's real sleek and smooth and square, but round all at the same time. For this quarter panel rounds back, comes down. Real critical part of the car is right here to make it look good. So let's go on and get some filler on this thing right here and see what we can do. First coat's on, I went ahead and pulled my tape piece off. Once I got it down here, just let that stuff dry. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start with my edge here. I'm gonna block down a little bit. Like I like to taper my edges. I like to go through and I'm gonna block this. I'm gonna block here, I'm gonna block there. I'm gonna come across this line. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna block it all the way across the center and just taper it. All you're doing with Bondo, like when you use a plastic and stuff like this, and Bondos and fiberglasses and any kind of putties, all you're doing is tricking the eye. You don't want to see no divot. Like it could be, there could still be a small dent there, really. I mean, it ain't gonna be no dent there. We're gonna get that thing out. But I'm just saying, like, as long as a spot is almost perfect, you'll never see it with your eye. So that's just the key to it, is just tricking the eye. We're putting filler in there just so we're evening the metal out. So that way it looks, when you look down the side of it, you don't see it. And that stuff that stuff's thin. Like this ain't no 1/4 inch Bondo job, 1/2 inch. I mean, you're talking about, this stuff is maybe a 16th, I wouldn't even say a 16th. It's so look like that right there. It's so small. so thin all the way through there because I beat it out, got it where I wanted it. Now we'll just taper it on in and knock it down. Well, ideally we're gonna knock it down, back down almost to the metal. We're gonna sand it out, and there's gonna be high and low spots like this in it. And then we'll skim it one more time. Like we'll knock down, like if there's a high spot like this and a low spot, if this is Bondo and then that's metal, we'll take a hammer and we'll knock that down a little bit. We'll tap around it and then we'll skim it, and that way it makes a smooth form. Right there. So, it'll look good. John gonna have some cleaning to do. Luckily I make a pressure washer. I went ahead and took a tomahawk here, not right on this crease. There was a crease in this crease. I took that damn hatchet, stuck it up here, took a hammer and hit it and knocked it down. Skimmed it. Don't even worry about this spot right there. I'll take a razor blade and cut that off. That's where I finished it. I sanded this out, got it where I need it. We're well on our way on this thing. I'm feeling pretty good. I got to come through and really get this quarter pound. This is going to be pretty easy. I got to get this just sanded out, which I think this is probably going to be a one and a done. I'll be a one coat. We'll be sanding out. And I got to come up here and make sure. I think it's this other side. I got to come around the edges of all this stuff like this. I got to tape it off. And I got to sand it so we got a nice crisp line on all that stuff. But the front end, there's a tear right there on the front end. If you look right there, I forgot all about it till just now when I seen it walking by it. I'm gonna turn around and I'll take some JB weld, put some JB weld on the inside of that and build that up to make that stronger. And I noticed right here, it's just cracking back through. So I'm gonna take a grinder. I'm gonna come right here. I'm gonna grind this. I'm gonna put some JB weld in it and then sand it back out. Some real good stuff. So works really good for stuff like that, bonding stuff. So I got that spot to do. So y'all don't let me forget. Remind me before I paint this thing. Hey, remind me of these spots. Did you check this? Did you check that? We want this thing to look flawless. But we're well on our way. Man, I'm so impressed at the job him and John did and Jake. Man, this thing looks good back here. Looks so good. They done a real good job on the back of this thing this year. She gonna fly. I'm ready to see my boy going to threes, son. Going into threes with this thing this year. 100%. We ain't stopping. She bad. Love the way the mid plate's incorporated to the firewall. Pretty awesome. Figure I'd talk about this right quick with y'all while we're here. So with Bondo, anytime you do Bondo work, there's a lot of things in life you will go through and you will go the inside out with. So like if you're doing head gaskets on a car, you're gonna start with the inside too. You're gonna torque across and work your way out. And the reason why is on like a head gasket is when it clamps, it squishes. So you wanna squish it all the way to the outside edge. You don't wanna go outside in because then you could bunch it up. When you do Bondo, it's different. Body work is opposite. You want to taper your outsides and then hit your center. And the reason why is if I start in the center, there's a dent right here. If I start in the center and I work, I'll probably have this low before I hit this till I get here level. But if I taper the outside edges, I know this is how low it needs to be. Right here, you know, I ain't done this spot yet, but I know right here, I know where I'm pretty much at, so I get it close. It's tapered from here to here. So I know once that Bondo starts meeting up about here, then I'm pretty thin, I'm pretty level. So as I'm sanding, what I'm looking for, I come around here, I hit all my edges this way, I edge it out. I'm gonna come down through here around the side. I taper this, I'm gonna taper this across the bottom. Then I'm gonna block this flat and I'm gonna watch it until I get to the edges, or if something pops through, then I'm gonna knock it down and recoat it. But like I said, with Bondo, you work outside in because this is the flat area you're wanting, this is the flat area you're wanting, this is the flat area, and this is the body line I'm wanting, and this is the edge I'm wanting. So when you have all these edges to sculpt it together, you wanna hit these outsides, you wanna taper, like I've done gone down through here and tapered this. Hit that, taper this. Now I got to taper this and that, and then I'll just block it all in. And that way, ideally, it'll just flow together. Like I said, if you just come in here and you start sanding this, you'll have this dent back being a dent before you'll get it leveled out here. So you got to taper it. Always work outside in on Bondo. All right, now so let's check this out. See, I got it tapered here. I got it faded in. That's what we're doing. All we're doing is fading it in. Fading. If you start noticing, see how it's getting thin there. That's a low spot. That's a high spot. That was a high spot. That's a high spot. So what I'm gonna do now, since this is a low spot, I'm not gonna mess with these high spots right now because I'm leaving it right here at this because we're pretty much where we need to be at down through here. I'm gonna come through right from here to there. I'm gonna throw a little bit more filler in, and that way we can get these little spots out. I'm gonna clean them out first because you gotta get that, you gotta get them edges cleaned out. You gotta get that dust out of it. So once I get it wiped out real good, I'm gonna skim it right here in this area and that area. And that's what's gonna allow me to get this built up to where I need it. I could sand it down, but that's a low spot. Sometimes it's better just to quit early. Skim it one more time. You get it, because I can feel right here, as you can tell here and here, that I'm starting to get, these are higher than this, and this should be flat with it. So now we just gotta throw a little bit more on it, and we'll have this side done. I'll also went ahead and put some down there. I'm gonna sand it real quick before I do this, because I got the other side pretty much where I want it. I can do the rest with primer. So the main thing was over here, as you can tell, boom, boom, we're pretty good right there. So that just needs primer and blocking. I just gotta put some primer. I went ahead and sanded that down there too. So I gotta go through and throw some primer on them spots where everywhere I put that sandpaper right there at 60 grit, I gotta put primer on it. So I'm gonna go to Advance, and then I'm gonna put some Bondo. I'm gonna run to Advance, and I'm gonna go ahead and get some JB Weld for the front end. Terrible, ain't it? I'm gonna get some JB Weld for the front end and the pillar right there. I'm gonna go pick up some primer, so I can go ahead and primer this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some Bondo here, but I wanna make sure down there I got that first in case I gotta put some more on it. So like I said, let's work on this real quick. Let's get, let's work on that real quick. And then we'll skim it. We'll go get some Bondo, come back, get some primer. We'll get some Bondo. I'm talking wrong. We're gonna skim the Bondo. We're gonna go out there and go get us some primer, let it dry. We're gonna come back and sand it, and we're gonna put the stuff in primer, and we're gonna be pretty much ready to block the rest of the car in with 320.
Can we hold it?
No, it's fine. I'll tape up the other side, do it. So we're ready to start painting this thing. In a little bit. Get the chassis sprayed out. Quarter turned out looking good. We're about ready.